Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Piyush and this is day 5 of 28 days of AZ Terraform. In this video, we'll be looking into variables, input variables, output variables, and like how do we use it. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. The comments and like target of this video is gonna be 100 likes and 100 comments. Pretty simple, pretty easy target, and you can do that in the next 24 hours. So let's start with the video. So as you can see, we have three types of variables over here. So we have input variables, output variables, and locals. So input is something that we are providing as an input to the Terraform configuration, right? Like use this variable in a function or like in a Terraform configuration and use that to process something and to give us an output. Output is something that we will get as a return from the function or from the Terraform apply command. And local is what we define as an internal variable that we can use within our Terraform. I'll show you how that works. And these variables have a type constraint. Type constraint means the type of value that it can store. So there are primitive type constraints such as string, number, boolean. So these three are primitives. That means they store only a single value. And then there are non-primitive, which store complex values such as list, set, map, object, and tuple. So we'll be looking all that in a later topic. Like I will see the example of each one of those. But for now, we'll just focus on variables. How do we initialize it? How do we use it inside a Terraform? And if we don't specify the value, if we don't specify what type of variable we want to store, then the default is any. It can store any value whatsoever. Okay. Now there is the variable precedence as well, but let's have a look at the example first before we get into the variable precedence. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy the main.tf file from the previous topic where we have discussed state file and everything. So I'm gonna copy that and I'm going to make changes in that for the variables. So we'll be looking into input variables, output variables, and locals. So here's my day 4 folder and there's the file. So let me just copy it from here. And inside day 5, I'm gonna create the same file main.tf. Okay, I'll paste the content over here. Okay, now let me show you how you can use variable. First of all, why do we use input variable? Because we want to avoid providing the same values over and over again, and we want to avoid hard coding the values as well, right? For example, over here, like let's say location, name, we don't want to hard code it. We want to give the users a flexibility to make the changes in some other file or at some other places so that they can make change to one place and it will be reflected in all the Terraform configuration. So same name should be used across all the configuration. So let's make a simple change. For example, tags equal to environment equal to staging. So this is something that we can use in multiple resources. For example, you are creating a staging environment. It has, let's say, 35 or 40 different resources. It has storage account, it has virtual machine, VNet, interface, and many more, right? So you want to tag all of your resources with environment equal to staging. Now, because you are using the same tag in all the resources, there is no need to hard code it, right? You can just create a variable and use the same value everywhere. So for that, what you can do is you can remove it from here and let's define a variable first. So I'm gonna go over here where I have specified the resources. Just before that, can specify variable just because it is an input variable starts with the keyword variable, then the variable name. So let's give it the name environment. And inside the curly braces, it has different fields that you can specify such as type. So what type of variable I want? I want a string, okay? Because I want the values such as staging, dev, environment, prod, testing, and so on, right? So this is the type. Now we have an optional description over here. So let's call it the environment type. And then we have different other values, but the important one is default. So you want a default value to be assigned to this variable if not assigned explicitly. Okay, so you can override this value, but over here you can also define a default value. So let's call it staging. Okay, so now that we have type, description, default variable is defined and it is initialized with the default value. So let's go over here and let's use the variable. How do we use it? We use it with the keyword var. So var, when you type var, if you are using the VS Code extension for HashiCorp, it will auto populate for you. Else you can just type dot and the name of the variable, and variable name was environment. So that you can type and then hit tab for the auto completion. Okay, so now let's go over here and run Terraform plan. Okay, it won't work because I have created a new folder and it looks for the provider plugin to be downloaded first, right? So let's do tf init first. It will initialize the backend. It will download the .terraform folder with the plugin version that we have specified, and then we can run Terraform plan. Hmm? Okay, so now it says Terraform plan is here, plan to add environment equal to staging. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is there are different ways of defining the values. For example, we have used default equal to staging. Now this is not the only way, and like this is not the recommended way, because every time you have to make the changes over here in the variable section, or if this was a separate file, then in that file. So what different options do we have? So we'll see the precedence, but for now let's see the different options that we have. So you can also pass it with the help of a /var file. Okay, so in the same command tf plan you can write -var equal to the name of the variable and the value. So -var equal to environment equal to dev. Okay, and I hit enter now. Again, now if you see over here, it will show you now the environment is dev. Okay, even though it has a default value over here, but when we passed it from -var, it took the higher precedence. Okay, now let's see the other method. Like there are different methods, so let's see the other method. So we'll create a new file inside this day5 folder and we call it terraform.tfvars. Okay, and this file expect a key value pair, not in the form of JSON, not in curly braces, just the key value pair with separated by spaces. So let's give environment equal to value is, let's call it demo. Okay, now if I am gonna run the command again, even with the -var option, let's see what does it show. Okay, now if I'm gonna go back, it shows environment equal to demo because -var took the higher precedence. Now if I'm gonna remove -var, okay, now it shows environment equal to demo. So this took higher precedence than the default one. Now there is another one which is environment variable. So if I just use export keyword, so export and environment is equal to, let's say, command line, just to differentiate between the results. Okay, and now if I run the Terraform plan again, okay, it's still showing demo. Maybe it expects a different way. So let's check the Terraform docs. So I'm gonna go over here, Terraform environment variables. Okay, and export is fine. So these ones we'll gonna look later on, but the way you have to define the variable is tf -var hyphen the name of variables, right? So the one that we did is not the correct one. I just wanted to show you like how it should be. So export tf-var environment and then the value. Okay, so now let's check and let's run tfplan again. Okay, now it shows environment equal to demo. We might have done something else. Let's see, tf-var environment, or it might have taken the lower precedence. Okay, let's see the precedence over here. Precedence. Okay, so it says Terraform loads the variable in following order with later sources take precedence over earlier one. Okay, so environment variable has the least precedence, that's why. And then Terraform.tfvars, and then the highest precedence would be of the -var file or -var that we specify. So if we go back over here, so if we already have the environment variable set, okay, which has the lowest precedence as per this, okay, so that won't work. And we already have the environment equal to demo in the tfvar set. We already have the default value set. Okay, now let's use -var and see if it takes the higher precedence or not. Okay, so if I do var equal to environment equal to dev, let's see what it shows. Okay, so this is working as expected. This one has the higher precedence. So just make sure you understand the precedence over here. Okay, environment variable has the higher precedence, then tfvars, then tfvars.json, then tfvars or tfvars.json, with the prefix as .auto, and then the highest precedence would be of -var. So Terraform has provided different options so that you can choose as per your convenience, like in various ways or in various circumstances. And using environment variable is not a recommended approach. The same way, using a separate file is not the same approach. So you want to be able to provide the environment variables as -var on the command line, some secret value maybe or something that you don't want to input anywhere else. So it has provided you different options. And then for some secret credential data, we can also use some secret management tools such as HashiCorp Vault. So that also we'll see later on. But for now, just understand how do you define and how do you use the variables inside Terraform. So these are the different ways for input variables. Now let's go back to output variables. What is output variables and why do we use it? So let's say we want to use something as an output to this Terraform plan or Terraform apply, right? We want something to be printed on the screen when you run the commands. So for that, you use output variable. How do you use it? So for that, you don't have to do the definition and initialization separately. You can do that in one single go. So it starts with the keyword output, then name of the output variable, let's say storage account name. Okay, I want the storage account name to be printed once it is provisioned. Okay, and inside the braces you write the value. Okay, so value equal to, now value can be derived from the resource that is over here. So Azure RM storage account dot example and dot name. Okay, so let's give Azure RM storage account dot example dot name. Now you see when you write dot, it has a lot of other values that you can use. Why? Because you are not only allowed to use the values that are defined by you, but the values that were generated by Terraform. So once you create the storage account, it gets created with some default value for access tier, account tier, right? Account replication, DNS endpoint, and so on. So those values also you can use as an output variable, or something that is unique such as ID. And you don't define the ID, it is generated by Terraform, but you can use it. So for now, let's use the Terraform name. Hit save, and I'm gonna run the Terraform plan again. Let's use the values defined already. So now if I run Terraform plan, it's not showing anything. Let's do Terraform refresh. Okay, now it shows output storage account name equal to this. Now if I run Terraform output, it should show me the output variable, which is this one. If it had multiple output variables, it will print those as well. So that's Terraform output and how it works. Now we can use this output variable and pass it to some other module or some other configuration, use it as an environment variable, or like just print on the screen for the reference, right? So feel free to use it as per your convenience. Okay, so I'm gonna go back over here. So first, let's understand when do we use locals. We already have the variables, so we can use that. But then when do we use locals? So local is used where the values are not changed most often. Like over here, environment could change, and we have defined a separate file which contains the value of it, and it can be changed as per our needs, right? But those values that we define, and it is not very oftenly changed. Plus, we want to make sure that we are reusing the variable that we have defined and not declaring it again and again. Okay. So in that case, we use local. So what we can do is, for that we use a keyword locals. Okay, again inside the curly braces, we provide the name of those variables. So let's say over here we have to use a variable called common tags. Okay, so let's say multiple tags will be there for each environment. So we use one variable as common tag, and inside that we define multiple tags. Okay, so let's give these tags, let's say environment. Environment is dev, and then we have, let's say, LOB, which is line of business. Let's call it banking. And then we have stage. Let's call it alpha. Okay, and so on. You can define multiple tags over here. So now that we have defined a local over here with the name common tags, now we can use that in our example over here. So instead of var.environment, we can use local.common tags. Okay. And we can, because this is a different data type which hold different value. I'm not explaining the data type at this moment, but just to give you an example, because it has three values, so we have to define which value we are using. Okay. So let's call it dot environment or dot lob or dot stage. So let's say dot stage. Okay, and hit save. Okay, and if I run tf plan again, okay, now it says environment equal to alpha. Plus, let's see what will happen if I don't use this. Would it throw the error? I guess it will throw the error, but let's see if it's gonna print everything inside that. Okay, so it is throwing the error because it says inappropriate value for attribute tags, element, environment, string required. So you need to provide for which key value, because it's a key value pair inside that. It's a data type, right? So if you see, it has a key, it has a value, it has a key, it has a value, it has multiple key value pairs. So you have to define for which key you want to use the variable, and it will replace that afterwards. Okay, and then you can have multiple locals to be used. Okay, so yeah, so it should be either of those values, and then it should be good. So that's how and why we use locals. I hope it is clear now. And that's it for this video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to complete the comments and like target. I will see you soon with the next video, in which we'll discuss about the file structure. Like currently we are using only one single file, main.tf, but this is not the best practice. So how do we define the file structure, how the files are getting loaded, and what all file naming conventions and file extensions we can use. So we'll see all that in the next video. So thank you so much. I will see you soon. Bye bye.